Are you ready to challenge your own nerves? Today, we will set off on a journey through the 20 most dangerous, insane, and frightening rides from all over the world. From plunging from dizzying heights to being catapulted into an abyss, each of them can make your heart beat twice as fast. So, meet the 20 scariest rides in history. Welcome to Zumanjaro, Drop of Doom, a gigantic ride at Six Flags Great Adventure in Jackson, New Jersey. What is so special about it? At first glance, a typical free fall with a climb and a plunge from a dizzying height, a slow, agonizing ascent, and only a few seconds of a rapid drop. But it is all about the scale. At the time of its opening in 2014, it was the tallest and fastest freefall ride in the world. You are seated in rows of 8 people, secured with straps, and slowly lifted to a height of about 126 meters, right to the top of a massive tower whose shape, to put it mildly, evokes some odd associations. Having reached the upper point, you hang waiting, a long 10 to 15 seconds with your nerves on edge. And then, without warning, the car rips downward, accelerating to 145 kilometers per hour. Is it scary? For some, a trial of the body and the stomach. For others, pure delight. But admit it, the question remains open. Should such rides be banned? Or is it precisely for such emotions that we come to amusement parks? Now we are heading to the Philippines, to the city of Cebu. And if you imagine a traditional park with roller coasters and noisy crowds, you will be surprised. Edge Coaster is not a huge structure among many rides, but rather rails attached to the roof of the Crown Regency Hotel. Outwardly, it does not seem super fast. It rides more slowly than a senior driver on a Sunday. But the essence is different. The cabin tilts so that you literally look down at the bustling streets of the megacity. The feeling is as if someone is holding you by the legs over the edge of a skyscraper. And what is most interesting, you choose the degree of tilt yourself. There is a joystick in the cabin, and you decide how strongly you want to hang over the abyss. It sounds like a pastime for daredevils with nerves of steel. If you want to experience it yourself, your road leads to Cebu, to the roof of the Crown Regency Hotel, where they will gladly dangle you over the city. Welcome to Germany, where the ride Infinity has already become famous as the tallest spinning swing ride with inversions in the world. The height is more than 60 meters. At first, everything looks harmless. Slow circles, music, a light breeze. But gradually the cabins begin to rise higher and higher, and then the thing happens that many fear, an upside-down inversion. Instead of a sweet carousel stroll, you find yourself in full inversion, feeling the blood rush to your head, and hoping your neighbors in the seats will not succumb to sudden bouts of seasickness. Infinity is designed for 24 people, and the entire cycle lasts about 3 minutes, enough time for your heart to drop into your boots and back several times. Imagine you sign a paper confirming that you understand the risk to your life, and only after that are you allowed onto the ride. That is exactly how acquaintance with the Giant Canyon swing begins at Glenwood Caverns Adventure Park, Colorado. Huge mechanical swings are anchored right on the edge of a deep canyon. Every movement throws you over the abyss and under your feet. The Colorado River, churning more than 400 meters below. The entire flight lasts less than 1 minute, but the adrenaline released into your blood during that time can rival extreme parachute jumps. Far from everyone manages to open their eyes. Fear often takes precedence over the desire to admire the views. And now, we have a ride that stands out among all the others, precisely because it is completely different. Perhaps you have woken up at night at least once from a terrifying sensation as if you are falling into emptiness. Imagine that you can feel this not in a dream, but in real life. Tempting? Or, on the contrary, frightening? This is not a standard Disney-style free flight with comfy cabins, sturdy belts, and a dozen additional safety features. Here, they decided to remove all the familiar attributes of a civilized ride and leave only the most important things: you, height, and the law of universal gravitation. First, you are slowly lifted to a height of about 100 feet, approximately 30 meters. Below, at this moment, only emptiness and a net that seems frighteningly small. The operator standing above clips you to a hook, leads you to the side, and judging by his look, clearly relishes the moment. In an instant, he lets you go, and you fall down without any bungee cord or cable. During these couple of seconds of falling, there is absolutely nothing that could slow you down. Only air, wind in your ears, and growing panic until the net catches you at the very end. In that short instant when you are flying toward the ground, you experience the most genuine sense of falling. 100% realism, and not a drop of illusion. The Stratosphere in Las Vegas is a whole set of insane rides located on the roof of the famous hotel, the Strat. Here, at a height from which you can see the entire city, you can find such attractions as Big Shot, X-Scream, and perhaps the most impressive of them, Insanity. The name alone already promises something off the charts dangerous and adrenaline-charged. But what is it actually? Imagine a gigantic metal structure in the shape of a mechanical arm, somewhat reminiscent of the claw in an arcade with plush toys. The difference is that this claw is mounted not in a cozy hall, but on the very edge of a sky-high tower, at 866 feet, approximately 264 meters above the ground. As soon as you are seated and secured, the mechanism extends far beyond the edge of the observation deck. At that moment beneath you, only emptiness and the city lights spread out below. The ride begins to spin you around its axis. At first, the movement seems slow, but gradually the speed increases and the seats tilt forward by 70 degrees, so that all you see in front of you is a direct gaze into the abyss. If the giant canyon swing seemed like a serious challenge, then Pterodactyl, located in the same state of Colorado, will raise the fear bar to an entirely new level. It all begins with you being seated in a two-person chair mounted on the edge of a canyon cliff. First, the structure tilts the seat forward so that you look straight down into the deep abyss. Beneath you, sharp rocks and wild nature raging below, and ahead, only emptiness. At that moment, you feel your stomach betrayingly clench, and your brain sends the signal, "Do not do this." But there is no longer any choice. The mechanism releases the seat, and you fall in free fall at tremendous speed. It seems that just a little more, and they will have to gather you in pieces from the rocks below. But at the very last moment, the lines catch the fall, and a frantic swinging back and forth over the abyss begins. That instant of transition from horror to delight is special. In 1 second, you think it is all over, and in the next, you are already laughing, swept over by a powerful dose of adrenaline. But let us be honest, far from everyone will dare to do such a thing. Falcons Fury is not just a drop tower, but something with an additional element that turns an ordinary ride into a truly nerve-wracking ordeal. You are lifted to a height of 335 feet, that is approximately 102 meters, and at that moment, everything looks familiar. Seats, belts, a slow ascent. But at the very top, the most interesting part begins. The mechanism rotates your seats forward by 90 degrees, and now you are not looking forward but straight down, face to the ground. For a few seconds you hang in this pose, seeing everything below in the smallest detail. And then the seats release, and you rush downward at about 60 miles per hour, 97 kilometers per hour. The drop lasts only a few seconds, but during that time, your heart manages to go through all the stages, from panic to euphoria. For those who seek not just a fall, but the maximum sensation of a dive, Falcons Fury will be the perfect choice. If, of course, you are ready for your legs to tremble for another 10 minutes afterward. And again, Colorado. It seems this state just loves to suspend people over abysses. This time, we are talking about the Cloud Scraper zip line, the highest zip line in North America, stretched across the Royal Gorge near Colorado Springs. Before the start, a mandatory ritual. Signing a document in which you waive claims in the event of an unforeseen outcome. That alone can make your heart beat faster. After the briefing, you are fixed into a solid safety system, clipped to the cable, and off you go. The height is 1,200 feet, about 370 meters, above the turbulent Arkansas River, which below looks like a thin silver ribbon. The flight lasts about 1 minute, but the emotions during this time are like an entire day's worth. The roar of the wind in your ears, the feeling of absolute freedom, and a light but constant fear that you are at the very limit of human nerves. And when you land on the other side of the gorge, one thought remains in your head. Yes, I did it. In Los Angeles, they also decided to play with height, but did it in their own glamorous style. In 2016, the Sky Slide opened on the US Bank Tower. It was a fully transparent slide path, 45 feet long, about 14 meters, mounted on the outside of the building and connecting the 70th and 69th floors. You sat on a special mat and literally slid through the air, seeing everything below, from the roofs of neighboring skyscrapers to the tiny cars below. The height here was about 1,000 feet, 305 meters above the street, and for those who are not friends with heights, it turned into a real ordeal. However, this ride did not live long. In 2020, during the pandemic, it was closed, and then they decided not to reopen it at all, stating that the slide spoiled the business atmosphere of the office building and bothered tenants. Who would have thought that tourists sliding past windows would seem inappropriate to someone? We moved to the city of Sandusky, Ohio, to the famous Park Cedar Point, a true paradise for roller coaster lovers. Here, in May 2002, the ride Wicked Twister opened, which at that moment became the tallest and fastest inverted coaster in the world. This machine of adrenaline operated for almost 2 decades, giving more than 16 million people the most powerful emotions. In September 2021, it was finally retired, but the memories of those who rode it remained forever. The essence of the ride is simple, but the effect is colossal. The seats are suspended so that your legs dangle freely in the air. At the signal, the train rushes forward, climbing a nearly vertical track, twisting in a spiral. Then, a rapid drop backward, another climb, only now in the opposite direction, and everything repeats several times. Speed, G-forces, rotation, and an unpredictable direction of movement create a feeling as if you are being spun in weightlessness. So intensely that after only the first few seconds, blood begins to rush to your head, and that very roller coaster chill appears in your stomach. Interestingly, after the very first season of operation, the ride had to be refined. Additional stiffening elements were added to withstand the loads. After that, Wicked Twister served faithfully for many more years, bringing both joy and screams of terror to those who dared to sit on it. The state of Maryland can hardly be called the capital of extreme entertainment, but right here at Six Flags America stands one of the region's most impressive rides, Superman, Ride of Steel. Opened in May 2000, this steel giant has long since become a classic. And although by world standards its records are modest, for locals it is a true symbol of speed and drive. Boarding is standard. You take a seat in a train with traditional cars. The motor begins to slowly pull the train up a long lift, and just when it seems the summit will never come, the train reaches the peak and plunges down a nearly vertical slope. The speed reaches 73 miles per hour, approximately 118 kilometers per hour. The train dives into sharp turns, dives into valleys, and soars again, creating that very effect of weightlessness in your stomach. Several minutes of pure delight, interspersed with loud screams, and the train smoothly returns to the station. Superman. Ride of Steel is not about unexpected inversions, or super complicated elements, but about the classics of the genre: speed, steep drops, and elation at the finish. Sometimes, to fall in love with coasters, you do not need anything supernatural. Not all extreme impressions come from noisy parks. In Switzerland, in the Hasli-Tal region, there is the Galmerban, a funicular railway that not only delivers tourists to a picturesque lake, but also gives emotions comparable to rides. Built in 1926, it originally served a purely practical purpose. It transported materials for the construction of a hydroelectric power station. But today, it is a tourist attraction with incredible views and with a gradient that makes your heart beat faster. The length of the route is 3,373 feet, and the elevation difference is 1,470 feet, about 448 meters. The speed of movement is small, but the angle of the slope and the sensation that the little car barely clings to the rails create an amazing mixture of delight and slight panic. You slowly climb along the rocks, while forests and mountain rivers remain below. Every creaking link of the old structure reminds you that this system is almost 100 years old, and that is its special magic. There are no sharp drops or vertical loops here, but the sense of height and closeness to the precipice rivals the wildest coasters. Las Vegas knows how to amaze the imagination, and the big shot ride on the roof of the Strat Hotel is one of the vivid examples. When it opened, it was the tallest ride in the world. It is installed right on the top platform of the tower at 921 feet, 280 meters, above the ground. The essence is simple. You sit down, buckle up, and a powerful pneumatic system shoots you upward to the mark of 1,081 feet, 329 meters. The speed is 45 miles per hour, about 72 kilometers per hour, and at that moment, your ears can pop, as in an airplane. After a short float at the top point, a rapid drop downward follows, and it is that moment that gives the strongest adrenaline surge. Despite the abundance of entertainment in Vegas, Big Shot continues to attract crowds of tourists. It is a short but very intense ride that perfectly combines the simplicity of the idea with a powerful effect. In Dallas, Texas, there is a park called Zero Gravity Amusement Park. The name, of course, is enticing, but one of the main rides there is entirely devoted to gravity. We are talking about Nothing But Net, an extreme attraction where there is nothing superfluous. No cabin, no belts, no cables, not even an elastic bungee cord. The scenario is simple. You climb a tower 16 stories high, that is, approximately 100 feet, about 30 meters, and put on a helmet, the only protective element on you. Then they secure you in a holding system on the upper platform, and at a certain moment, it is simply unfastened. You drop downward, flying absolutely freely until you hit a giant net stretched below. The net, by the way, is located not only right under you, but also on the sides, to eliminate the cartoon scenario of flying out of the landing zone. All this sounds wildly simple, but the effect is astonishing. In a matter of seconds, you manage to live through the very same nightmare that people dream of when they fall into emptiness in their sleep. And this is without any virtual reality or additional special effects. Only you, the air, and Earth's gravity. In the Indian state of Maharashtra, at the Magic Amusement Park, there is a steel floorless roller coaster called Nitro. It is a classic coaster with the full set of elements that every attraction fan should experience. The lift height is 132 feet, about 40 meters. The maximum speed is 65.2 miles per hour, approximately 105 kilometers per hour. It does not set world-level records, but it creates exactly that balance where it is both scary and fun at the same time. Boarding takes place in a train under which there is no floor. Your legs hang in the air. After the train is secured, the platform floor drops away and the gates open. The train begins to slowly clamber up the chain lift, giving you time to assess the height and realize what you have gotten yourself into. At the peak, a short pause, and then you plunge downward, laying into a sharp right-hand turn. At that moment, the maximum speed is reached, and a series of elements begins. Several large loops, a zero-gravity moment, and a chain of sharp corkscrew turns. The entire ride lasts about 2.5 minutes, and the track length is 2,800 feet, 853 meters. In the United Arab Emirates, they are used to the word the most. And at Ferrari World in Abu Dhabi, there is the ride Formula Rosa, the fastest roller coaster in the world. Here, you accelerate not to 100, and not even to 150 kilometers per hour, but to 149 miles per hour, about 240 kilometers per hour. To reach such speed, a hydraulic launch system is used, similar to the catapults on aircraft carriers. From a standstill, the train reaches top speed in just 4.9 seconds. Precisely because of this, passengers are given special protective goggles, so that insects and dust do not get into the eyes at such an oncoming airflow. The track, 2.07 miles long, 3.3 kilometers, repeats the configuration of the famous autodrome in Monza, Italy. There is no sharp inversion or loops here. The main goal of this ride is to convey the sensation of riding in a real Formula One car. But even without vertical loops, the impressions are such that your breath is taken away and your face involuntarily stretches into a grin from the speed. Canada's Wonderland in the city of Vaughan, Ontario, became home to Yukon Striker, the longest, fastest, and tallest dive coaster in the world at the time of its opening. What is a dive coaster? It is a type of coaster where the train at the top of the lift freezes right before a sheer drop and then plunges downward at an angle of 90 degrees or more. Here, everything begins with a normal, slow ascent, but upon reaching the top, the train stops and hangs, giving you the opportunity to fully realize the height. Beneath you, a straight vertical precipice. After a few seconds of tense waiting, the brakes release and you fly down into a tunnel that hides below the water's surface. Next, a series of high-speed turns, inversions, passes through tunnels, and almost skim your head near-miss elements. This is a case where even the bravest passengers admit their hearts were pounding like crazy. At Fuji-Q Highland in the Japanese city of Fujiyoshida, Yamanashi Prefecture, in July 2011, the ride Takabisha opened, which immediately received the title of the steepest bi-drop angle in the world. The route length is 3,300 feet, about 1 kilometer, and it begins not with a lift, but with a sudden plunge in complete darkness inside a tunnel. After that, the train bursts into daylight, going through a series of insane turns and loops that hardly give you time to catch your breath. And only then does the main part begin. The train slowly climbs a nearly vertical lift to the top, hangs for a moment at the summit, and drops downward at 121 degrees. That is so steep that for the first few meters you practically tip over beyond the edge. After that, a few more elements that finally finish off your nerves. This is a ride for those who not only love thrills, but are ready to experience fear on a physical level. We will finish with a legend, Space Mountain at Magic Kingdom in the Walt Disney World Complex, Florida. This ride opened back in 1975 and has since become a symbol of how to combine an exciting trip with atmospheric theming. The theme is a space journey. First, you enter a space station with twinkling lights and futuristic music. You sit in small cars, and the train begins to move through illuminated tunnels, gaining speed. And then, darkness. Almost the entire journey takes place in near-total darkness, where only stars and light effects are visible. It is precisely this effect of the unknown and unexpected turns that makes Space Mountain so special. You never see what awaits ahead. Although by modern standards it is not the fastest or tallest ride, it remains a crowd favorite, and its immersive atmosphere is an example of how skillfully one can create a sense of adventure without extreme G-forces. And that is all. Some of these rides bring elation, others pure horror. but all of them have proven one thing. For vivid emotions, people are ready to go to great lengths. Would you dare to try at least one of them? Or leave it to the crazy ones? Do not forget to subscribe to the channel and leave likes. See you in the next episode.